It's finally here. After a very long wait and shipping from Massachusetts, my new Raytech-Shaw Faceter machine has arrived and looks really nice. So in this video, I'll go through what came with it. This is a used faceter, and so it's not brand new. But to go through the main components here, we've got the handpiece itself, which rests on this thing called a platform, or some people call it a lily pad design because it just kind of sits there and rotates. And there's 3 little adjuster knobs for adjusting left and right and forward and backwards. Or you can adjust the platform height itself by going counterclockwise, or that's counterclockwise. Counterclockwise goes up, clockwise goes down. Cat jumping off the table makes it go wobbly. And it came with a 96 gear, or 96 index gear, which use this little lever to lock it in and then rotate to the desired position, and then it kind of nestles down into these metal gears, so it's a very hard stop, which I like. And right now I've got one of the 360 grit discs that came with it on there. And so what you do is plug it in, turn it on, and it goes from a very slow, I don't even know how many RPMs it is. It doesn't come with a direct gauge, it's just a general. Well, I guess it does say RPMs on the bottom there, but I don't know if it's how accurate that is. So it can go very slow or way too fast. And normally I'd run it in the opposite direction to have the splash go in that direction rather than towards you when you're faceting. And it came with a girdle insert for the little tray that catches water. And so that's for when you want to go and do the girdle and just have this would be at a 90-degree angle relative, or basically parallel to the plate. And so you would rest it down and bring it down, and you can lower the pan, but then you'd get splashes everywhere if you didn't have this insert, which has a little slot in there. So this can fit nestled inside. And on the side here is a pivoting Preformer tool, which I haven't used before, but it looks kind of interesting. I have just an example dop loaded in here, which locks into place, and then this little plastic thing here is a variety of this one is a pear shape. This one is just an oval. But you can swap those out to whatever preform shape you want to make, and then crank this knob, bring it over kind of like the girdle. I imagine you'd lower the pan and bring this plate over, and then rotate it. And you can see it's very slightly oblong, and so that box kind of goes up and down, and it's spring-loaded down here to keep it from just bouncing up and down wildly and keep some pressure on it. So you can make a pretty big shape if you have the right insert. And it came with a box of inserts of varying sizes, like you saw the pear and the oval there, all sorts of oblong shapes. And obviously a water bucket, just rotates and get a drip going for some water. The lamp is necessary for light. And came with a bunch of dops. I've arranged roughly from in size, going from left to right. Looks like it's, a millimeter or 2 on the left up to this giant honker on the right. Everything from cone to wedge shape to just flat platforms. And just a little bit of dopping wax to stick the stones to the top of those dops. Oh, if you don't know, these are called dops, which go into the handpiece here. This is the end of a dop, and then so the main part goes up here, and then it locks into place over here. This gold gear here on the end is what you use to loosen and tighten the dop into place. And they all come with little pins on them. And so this is what you use for aligning, making sure it's correct when you transfer it, both from the pavilion to the crown, or crown to pavilion, whichever way you go. So there's a little notch in the handpiece there where that pin sets. And it also came with a transfer jig for transferring from one dop to the next. Load a dop in here. So you want to transfer it to a crown. It's hard to do one-handed, but you could have the pins lined up. So right now that one's facing that way, and then I'll push this together, and then that would bring the stones together in a hopefully perpendicular way. It also came with 6 laps. One of them is on the machine, but this was a duplicate of a second 360 lap. So from left to right, we go 100 grit and then 360. This is a 600 diamond encrusted lap. Pretty good quality. This is a phenolic lap, which you use with either cerium oxide, which came with a little bit, and this may be diamond powder. I'm not sure. It's not labeled. I'll have to bring it to our resident expert. Tin lap, which is also known as a master lap, which should be very, very flat. And you can use this with powders as well, or use this with toppers, because this should be machined very flat, although there are a couple of dings in it here, which do catch a little bit. So I'll have to maybe bring this to our guy. He has a lathe, and so I might be able to get that machine down a little bit and flat, so I don't, gouge giant scratches into stones that I make. Raytech-Shaw has been around for a long time, made in the USA. This machine, from the guy I got it from, he said it was about 20 years old. I don't know if it was new when he bought it, but the ones that we use at our local club are 40 years old and still work great. And as you heard, the machine, or the motor, is still working pretty good. It's very quiet. So I think we're in good shape to get started. I just got to pick a stone and get a couple extra things for get an alcohol lamp or something to melt wax and dop it up on the dops there. It's the start of a new adventure.